The Airbnb investor crash opportunity. Guys, it's Rick Ginn. And in this video, I'm going to show you about a little known opportunity coming up in Airbnb and how you can specifically take advantage of it through your wholesaling operations. But before I get into it, do me a favor, make sure you smash that like button, you hit that subscribe button to continue to receive the best information up to date. So let's talk about it. If you haven't heard about Airbnb or AKA short-term rentals, you've probably been hiding under a rock. If you don't know what Airbnb is, all it is a company. It's kind of like the Uber concept where they created short-term rentals. And the idea is it was to replace the hotels like Uber replaced the taxis. It took off like gangbusters. I mean, this company was started a while ago, but it really started gaining traction in 2015 and 16. Honestly, I thought it was a brilliant idea. Like, think about it. You own, you leverage other people's real estate. You don't own anything and you collect revenue on everything. It's brilliant. They've had explosive growth. Honestly, it replaces hotels. The idea is they were originally intended for vacation destinations. Why would someone want to buy a piece of property and turn it into Airbnb? Well, let me run you through the basic concept of it. So if someone was going to rent a property for, I don't know, a couple thousand a month, and people go, well, if a hotel gets $200 or $300 a night, we could triple the cash flow on it. And that's what they did. So by invest for 100, 200, they go up to 10,000 a night, depending on the quality of the property and the location. It makes sense. It drove cash flow through the roof. People, instead of generating just a couple grand, they could get up to 10 grand a month. And it was super sexy and it made it simple. And then from 2015, 16, 17, 18, real estate started really going up. And then what happened then? It got like really hot. And so from 2016 to 2022, you guys know the real estate market exploded. The growth was crazy and people were really bidding up properties. So the easiest fix is, well, if I can't flip it traditionally through wholesaling, because that's hard, right? We can do Airbnb because we can pay more. I can get a much larger mortgage because I'm going to get higher cash flow. Sounds great in theory, right? Then you guys know what happens in 2020. That little known occurrence happened, the pandemic, whatever you want to call it. Everybody was super worried. Actually, it was a huge boost for Airbnb. They even exploded more. Why? Hotels were shut down. It wasn't even an option. People wanted to travel and they wanted to isolate, and their only outlet was Airbnbs because the government couldn't control them. So not only did they have a hot market, it exploded. And from 2020 to 22, it was ridiculous. You'll see that the Airbnb exploded, and all of a sudden they were trying to attract wholesalers and other investors like, this is a great opportunity. The cash flow is ridiculous. It's insane. Why would you rent a property out regularly? And they were right to a point. And that's where it stops. And it was very exciting, and people were way overpaying for properties. They were way over leveraging properties, but like they had record low interest rates. So it seemed like the perfect scenario to take over like a short-term rental. Now we got to 2020, pandemic hits, it just explodes. The real estate market explodes. People are buying up and churning every property into Airbnbs. They're exploding all over the country. Even little known towns have Airbnbs, and then investors take it one step further. Instead of doing vacation destinations, why don't I just rent the room out in like this Port St. Lucie house, or I have a house in Mobile, Alabama. I'll rent out these rooms for $100 a month. And it got a little crazy, and it pushed cash flow even harder. Let's fast forward to where we are today. So then on top of it, they inserted additional income streams, cleanup fees. So a cleanup fee on like a short-term rental, especially Airbnb, is like $150. So if I stay 2 nights, I have to pay $150 to clean it. It was getting way out of control. Then they decided to go, hey, I can sell you a course and be an Airbnb manager. You don't have to own any of the properties. You just manage it for other people. You get a percentage of the revenue and you can make 6 figures a year. Guys, this was the perfect storm, and the perfect storm is here. And I'm going to show you why, and I'm going to break it down right here. I just told you everything that's just super duper about doing an Airbnb or a short-term rental. Here's the problem. Let me walk you through the cons. And unfortunately, this is a long list. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to insert a graphic right here, right now. Just go on YouTube and search. Look at all the problems with like Airbnb investors. And guys, these are problems from 6-12 months ago. You haven't seen anything that's about to hit the market with the collapse, or what I call the crash, of the Airbnb market because investors overhyped it. So the first con is the attractiveness of Airbnb is you have a one and done. You have a website, you have a marketing team, you have a payment platform, they market to you. I mean, it's perfect. All I do is got to give you the property. Well, you are controlled by Airbnb. You can use any of the others, VRB. I'm not picking on Airbnb, but they're probably the largest. And the problem with that is you are controlled by them. And so they control when you get paid. They constantly keep increasing the fees. And as their company grows, the fees just get higher and higher. Do you know if you're a new Airbnb person, or I guess if you have some sort of history, they can delay your payment up to 90 days. That's insane. And then the worst part about it is you get reviews and people will pick you apart for anything. And for that reason, it's scary because you are controlled by Airbnb. Because it was so easy to use a service like that, it takes you 4 or 5 years to gravitate your customers over. And if Airbnb finds out you're doing it, they'll probably suspend or freeze your account. I don't know. I don't do Airbnbs. You guys let me know in the comments below. So let's talk about cost of running an Airbnb. Like the cost of real estate with recent inflation has exploded. Insurance is through the roof. It's crazy. The taxes are going to be nuts. To do the maintenance on a property like this, you constantly have to be cleaning and maintaining it. And these properties get a lot of wear. And the reality is most of these properties were never meant for short-term rentals. So the wear and tear is extremely high on them. So as long as we're talking about cost, what about the cost of insuring them? Everyone's complaining about the cost of insurance on real estate across the country. Did you know over 90% of short-term rentals, specifically Airbnb and all these companies, they don't really care if you insure them or not because the liability is on you, not them. They will sell you a premium policy, which most people decline, and you assume that a regular homeowner's insurance policy is going to cover. They do not. The minute they find out there's a claim and you're doing Airbnb, they will not pay your claim. So worst off, you pay a couple grand for insurance a year and they found out you did a short-term rental. How do they do it? Because you're on the internet, you're on Airbnb. It's very simple for an underwriter to figure this out. They're not going to pay your claim. So you have to go get what they call a host liability policy, which are extremely expensive. And you can add the additional protection that these services offer through Airbnb and VRBO. And most people opt out because their cash flow is getting squeezed. These costs are real, guys. And let's not forget, this market is highly economic sensitive. So what are we going into right now? We're not going in a recession. We are in a recession, and it looks like it's here for quite foreseeable future. So what happens when economies retract? People stop traveling. People stop spending money. And guess what? The hotels are starting to gain their business back. Why? Because they're cheaper. They don't have cleaning fees. They do have taxes, but Airbnb keeps adding all the taxes. This is becoming a real problem. And honestly, if Airbnb is going to be down probably 50, 60, 70% on bookings for the next 2, maybe 3 years, most investors are barely surviving on the cash flow they have now. How are they going to make that work? You got to keep that in mind. And then this is one of the biggest things you have to understand is Airbnbs and short-term rentals have come so prolific. The cities and towns, they don't like them. The complaints are through the roof. People are renting out rooms. They were meant to be vacation destinations, and we've turned them into cheaper ways to stay when you travel. And for that reason, there's multiple, like very large cities are basically banning this. One of them has a 3-strike rule, and basically you get 3 complaints. You can't do it anymore, or they're going to put liens and code violations against your property, which is perfect for us wholesalers. We're going to talk about that opportunity. They are frowning on these because it's being abused. Basically, you're running a hotel without a license, without insurance. Don't get me started on security. A lot of these people have hidden cameras. You have no idea what's going on. And then most of these companies have a PR division that suppresses any negative stories. You guys know what I'm talking about. Some bad things can happen in these because you don't know the history of the property or the owner. And the headwinds are really against short-term rentals coming in this current market, which leads me to where we are now. So these properties, the short-term rental market is completely oversaturated. I know this because I see it in my local market and I see it naturally. These owners are over-leveraged, guys. This is the perfect storm for you to take advantage of wholesaling opportunities in these short-term Airbnb rentals. The ones that are not vacation destinations, those will probably survive. They'll take a hit, but they'll survive, the owners that are prepared correctly. But the ones that are renting out rooms in Port St. Lucie or Mobile, Alabama, there's no way they're going to survive a 2-year plus storm with negative cash flow. So let me move you on and let's talk about Airbnb specifically. So it's a publicly traded company. So I'm just going to give you the facts. These are not opinions. These are facts. I went over their most recent earnings report, and this is from the earnings report. And there's substantial comments made by the executives in the company. Number one, they just lost $75 million, I believe, in Q4. And that's an estimate. It's not even like finalized yet. So we are just going into like this really bad economic times. Guys, it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. So if they're losing money, it means their bookings are way down, which translates to regular investors. Their Airbnb properties are not producing the cash flow they used to. The company is now in a stagnant phase, which everybody's investing in this company because it's massive growth with a little bit of profit. Not only are they stagnant, most likely they're going to go into a negative and retracting period because remember, this data is almost a quarter behind. So this is information for 3 months ago. You guys know the market's just getting worse going into 2023. So let's talk about the stock. Here is the stock. So here's its peak in 2020. And here's where it is today. And guys, the stock is down 59% and we've just started the negative news. I don't know, but like companies like this, most people don't want to invest in. It's extremely risky in my opinion. And they're trying to figure out where this business model is going to go in the future. They have a lot of problems. The sentiment amongst the country is towns and cities are fed up with these short-term rentals in local housing that is pricing most other regular home buyers out, and they're passing laws and ordinances to discourage it, which is only going to put more pressure on short-term rentals. And guys, this is where the opportunity for wholesaling comes in to attack these type of Airbnb short-term rentals. And here's where the opportunity is going to be. The reality is most of these people that did non-destination vacation short-term rentals, they are not going to survive these markets. They're over-leveraged and they have little cash flow. It means it's negative. Eventually, they'll either be foreclosed on or they're going to have to sell the properties at a huge loss. Now, here's the good news is you're going to have to wait some of these out because the only thing that's going to cure an investor that bought into this Airbnb kind of overhype, which was a trend, which they didn't stick to the disciplines of true real estate investing and wholesaling, is time. The sellers of these properties are going to have to at one point just give up on them. So it takes time. They think there's going to be this magic recovery. There's not. It's only going to get worse as it goes forwards. Now, some people in Florida where you can be in season, they'll make some money in season. When those properties come out of season, man, they are going to be prime for people just like me having a wholesale operation. If you're out west, the season's sometimes in the summer. And so like their winter or their worst months. And I think it's going to take some time to get them. But if you're prepared and you keep an eye on them, no one's going to make offers on these properties because they're usually beat up. There's little no cash flow and nobody's overseeing. They're not properly insured. And for this reason, they have a choice. Let them get foreclosed on or sell them at a discount or maybe even do some creative financing. I don't know. But what I'm telling you is there's a massive amount of opportunity. So what I want you to do and understand from this video, I want you to learn from this. And when these hot trends come in, you can't jump and go, oh my God, I can do it. It's just a quick fix. I believe in short-term rentals for vacation destinations. I'm all for it. But when you start renting out room to room just to force artificial cash flow, eventually that ship is going to come back to port. And we are now coming into port full steam. And there is no way to dock this boat, guys. It's going to crash. I predict a massive Airbnb short-term rental crash coming. And I believe the crisis is going to go on for at least 2 years. And there's going to be a lot of pressure on the non-vacation destination units. So guys, to avoid pitfalls, to avoid chasing trends like this, if someone's trying to sell you like a course on this new technique called novations, or hey, I got this thing where the cash flow is triple what it normally is, start asking questions. Ask yourself, is this a short-term trend that's going to get me in trouble later? The cure for most of this is learning the fundamentals of real estate investing. It always starts with wholesaling. If you want to learn more, go over to freewholesaling.com. I'll show you how to get started in this business, how to limit your risk and do it correctly. Go to freewholesaling.com. Let me know in the comments what you think about short-term rentals, specifically Airbnbs. I would love to get your opinion on them. Are you going to avoid them? Are you going to take advantage of these opportunities that are coming up in the wholesaling market? Let me know, guys. So, hey, do me a favor. Make sure you smash that like button, you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.